You set a clear target and commit the hours, yet you eventually collide with a boundary that has no physical form. It's an exhausting cycle. You apply more effort, but the path ripples and resists, leaving you stationary despite the exertion. This stagnation often stems from learned helplessness. It's a cognitive state where the brain, after facing a series of uncontrollable setbacks, begins to process all future resistance as an absolute, immovable law. Consider a classic study involving a fish in a tank divided by a transparent glass pane. For a long period, the fish attempts to swim to the other side, only to repeatedly strike the glass. Eventually, the fish stops trying. The most telling result occurs when researchers remove the glass entirely. The fish remains confined to its half of the tank, refusing to cross a threshold that no longer exists. We carry these same phantom barriers into our careers and lives. We take a past rejection or a period of scarcity and treat it as a permanent feature of our environment, long after the original constraints have vanished. These obstacles function as a stress test. They refine your judgment and build the necessary stamina to manage the larger complexities that come with higher levels of success. Accessing a state of high achievement requires an audit of these internal boundaries. You have to identify where you are still reacting to a glass wall that has already been removed. Moving past these barriers requires a mechanical shift in how you handle emotional energy. You must actively offload the weight of past outcomes to regain your forward momentum. Hunters have used a specific method to trap monkeys. They place food inside a heavy jar with a narrow neck. The monkey reaches in and grabs the food, but its clenched fist is now too wide to be withdrawn. It remains trapped solely because it refuses to open its hand. We do the same with past pain or failed investments. We grip onto the way things were or the sting of an old mistake so tightly that we become anchored to a version of reality that no longer serves us. This mental grip creates a state of chronic depletion. In a very literal sense, you cannot pour constructive energy into a new venture when your internal reserves are already exhausted by the past. High-performance self-care is the process of reclaiming that energy. Releasing these burdens provides the necessary bandwidth to focus on the variables you can actually control in the present. Even with a clear mind, you face a data problem. To prevent your senses from being overwhelmed, a network in your brainstem called the reticular activating system, or RAS, acts as a high-level gatekeeper, filtering out nearly every piece of information that reaches your consciousness. You can see the RAS in action through a simple focus test. If you are told to find only the red shapes in this field, your brain prioritizes that specific wavelength. The blues and greens don't just become less important, they effectively disappear into the background. This has a direct impact on your professional life. If you have trained your filter to prioritize threats, flaws, and reasons for failure, your brain will highlight those red warning signs while leaving every blue opportunity invisible in the background. This explains why two people can look at the same market or situation and see completely different realities. The magic of a breakthrough is often just the ability to see a solution that was always there, but was previously filtered out. To change your results, you must consciously update the search parameters you give to your brain. You are changing the raw data you use to make decisions. You can recalibrate this filter using a protocol known as the 3-week attention audit. It is a structured way to force your RAS to begin identifying a different class of data. Each night before sleep, document 5 specific positive data points from your day. This isn't about forced optimism, it's about factual recording. Look for micro wins, a moment of clear communication, a useful piece of information you learned, or even a brief, efficient interaction with a colleague. By documenting these consistently, you provide your RAS with a new set of targets. Over 21 days, your brain shifts from a passive scan for problems to an active, automatic search for potential advantages. When you pair an unburdened mind with a recalibrated filter, you achieve a state of high situational awareness. You are no longer distracted by the noise of the past, allowing you to be fully present with the variables currently in play. This awareness bridges the gap between effort and results. Instead of chasing vague goals, you begin to recognize specific leverage points, like a niche market opening or a key partnership, that others overlook because their filters are tuned only to risk. This creates a feedback loop of high-value recognition. As your brain identifies more opportunities, your actions become more precise. You find that you are no longer forcing progress. Instead, you are navigating toward success with a clarity that feels almost magnetic. This isn't a mystical phenomenon. It is the logical outcome of maximizing your cognitive resources. By seeing more of the available field, you can make better choices, which naturally leads to better material outcomes in your career and life. Realized opportunity begins at the level of sensory data. By auditing the information you allow into your conscious mind, you change the raw material available for your decisions, and ultimately the results those decisions produce.